but we need to have a long-term vision. It's not to go and win the next tournament. We need to have coaching football at senior level is not the same thing as coaching at cadet level. There are nutrition issues. Look, some of my friends started an academy in my name very early when I became governor, and those kids played with us every Sunday. So one day I called one of them. These kids aren't growing. And we just found out, I said, look, I think it's a malnutrition problem. They play great football. We take them out, we contribute money, they go on exchange programs to South Africa, to Europe, but these kids aren't growing. I found out that one of them was about 12. My son, who was then 8, was a clear head taller than him. And what did we do? We went to King's College, booked their hostels for boarding school, and ran a training program over 3 months. The results were amazing. And what did we invested in? Quaker oat, milk, fish, beans, and eggs, which these boys couldn't get from home. And we've been doing it every year, and the result, they just sprang out because nutrition was good. So there's a lot involved here. These were the things that happened during the days of Father Slattery, St. Fimbas, Omoera, and so on and so forth. And many of the great players who played then will tell you about a man called Baba Adeniji. He was a legend in training cadets, ball passing, ball control. So when you look at our national team, you can't see a 40-yard pass, you can't see a through pass. The only time they are comfortable is playing across the field when there is no pressure. Set pieces, we don't score from corners, we don't score from free kicks. In this country of 170 million people, I refuse to accept that it is difficult. We just need to do the work.
Let me bring you to something else, Your Excellency. Federation Cup. Yesterday we had a guest on set with us, 80-year-old Jonathan Wewu, one of the legends that we honored this year, and he was singing your praises, appreciating you for remembering what he did about 56 years ago. And we said, okay, we're going to have you as a guest today and find out from you where the idea came from to look at legends of the game that have been forgotten by a lot of people.
Because they inspired me so much. I used to Skype classes to go and watch them play football. And I remember players like Sam Gaba Okoye, Haruna Elerika, Christian Madu. The list was endless. And going, it still tastes funny in my mouth calling it Federation because it's Challenge Cup.
Challenge Cup.
It's Challenge Cup. And the whole nation came to a halt. There was no trading on that day. People would travel from all over Nigeria to come and see. And one of the things that I objected to immediately was, why move the Federation Cup or Challenge Cup away from its traditional home? The British have not moved the FA Cup away from Wembley, except during the period when they were constructing. And so there are some things that we just should not do. They are not right. Yes, we are a federation, we are all of that, but to say, well, it must not be played in the East, it must not be, this is where it was birthed. And as long as the facilities are there, the stadia are there and everything, we should let these things go on. It's also, you see, players in other leagues, the only opportunity they will ever get to play in Wembley is to play in the FA Cup final. It's a destination. So we don't dishonor the memory, and that is why football grounds develop that kind of tradition and institution. And you know, you play, I listened to one of the Champions League matches, and I think it was Sami Kufo, and he said he had only played at the Nou Camp in Barcelona 3 times. And he began to reminisce about the memory, how close, you know, so we just done some things in a manner that there now questions governance and history and traditions, and begins to go into the National Stadium, or when it was King George V Stadium, Onikon in Lagos, where it used to be played before, now Onikon Stadium. And then later I moved to the National Stadium in the late 70s, early 80s. Was people traveled. Raka Rovers, Mighty Jets, Bendel Insurance, IICC, Rangers, you will know that something has entered town. So, but it's my own memories of those that said, look, listen, going to watch the FA Cup in England also, what you see is the kickoff of the game. But the FA Cup starts as early as midday. And on that day, all the old players, the Ian Rushes, and all of them are on parade. They are honored, they are celebrated, their goals are beamed live. So, so before kickoff, they remember all those who made that competition the institution that it has become. And that's our own modest way of also saying thank you. Many of them who are coaches, our sports ministry has engaged. They are involved either in helping to maintain stadiums, helping to train young players. So we found something for as many of them as we can to make their lives work.
These are pictures of Ismail Amabo,
yes,
Moses Bako,
and even the commentators that we know the stands after. So it's you see, you can't do these things without looking back. I think that we haven't celebrated our heroes. And therefore, if we are looking for heroes today and tomorrow, we must remember those who have come before. We must document things. We must tell stories. You see, when you watch Premier League, you watch all of this every weekend, when you see a Bobby Robson, you will see a Bobby Charlton and all of them in the stand, there will be a kind word from the commentator that these are the legends of the game. They are here to come and watch. And this is what inspires the current players, that I will not be forgotten. This is what tells the next generation that I want to be like these people.
Let me also come to some other issues very quickly. You talked about having a home for football, and what epitomizes Nigerian football other than the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. And people ask questions, what is happening to the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos? A couple of months ago, we had the former sports minister, Bolaji Abdullahi, on our show, and he talked about a bid to take over the National Stadium. And he was saying something about whether the Lagos State government were interested in getting involved. I want to find out from you, are you interested in taking over the National Stadium? Or what's going on around the National Stadium?
We have the Teslim Balogun Stadium, which is quite challenging to maintain, because after all of what we did, I've seen these things happen. We spend money for a competition, and then after that, everything goes into rot. And I say, it won't happen under my watch. This is my forte. So we have maintenance. We also have regular use, and that's where all of the classics that we talked about came from.
Sports classics.
Because I remember after we hosted the National Sports Festival, I made a public commitment that those facilities will not go to rot, and they haven't. From Road Park to Teslim, they are being constantly used for one tournament or the other. So what has happened in the National Stadium is not new. It's happened before. We build and we walk away, and we build another one in Abuja, and when we need it, the grass is not there, so we have to go and play in Calabar. And after we've left Calabar, now we've gone to the next. And so,
are you thinking of something like the stadium?
No, what we need in Lagos is a municipal stadium of the first rate. I told you about changing the way we build sports center, because you don't play football every day. So modern stadia now not only have event centers, restaurants, bars, meeting rooms, conferencing facilities that keeps them going. So we were thinking of doing something like that in Unicon Stadium, because we are building a car park opposite Yoruba Tennis Club. All of this was already integrated, that people can get to the stadium using their buses, the LAG bus and BRT, drop at TBS, walk to the stadium. Those who wanted to drive will go into a car park opposite the Yoruba Tennis Club, which is already on the second or third level now. It should be finished by March next year. So there's a plan to make that place a destination. But when I saw the bill, which was 12 billion naira, and I said, hold on a second, there are much more important priorities here. So the design we've kept, And we've moved that 12 billion, I think that was 3 years ago,